Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Jacob. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, randomness, requests of reactions, commentaries, reviews, lists, rankings, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And of course, as soon as I told one of my neighbors, because my neighbor has multiple chickens and roosters. One is like, I gotta have my cameo in. Borderland from 2007 is the video. It was part of that 8 Films to Die For, which they stopped doing for a while now, because to be honest, most of them were pretty crap. I would say my favorite of those was The Deaths of Ian Stone, and I actually liked The Butterfly Effect 3. Either they were bad, or films like this, which they were fine. Like Borderland, it wasn't bad. It's a film I wouldn't watch again, but it's not bad. If you have a choice, this is one of the better choices. It's based on a true story. 3 students, well, I say students, they're older than that. They get ready for graduation, and they go off to Mexico to party, get some girls, have fun. When they go to Mexico, you have a smart guy, you have a hothead, and you have the nice guy. The nice guy is actually played by Ryder Strachan, who's on Boy Meets World. He was in the movie Cabin Fever. But anyway, the 3 go to Mexico before graduation. One of them gets kidnapped, Ryder Strachan's character, because this drug lord made sacrifices because he thinks it'll make them invisible to cross the border with their drugs undetected. And there were people in Mexico that did do that. They were so heavy into their own type of voodoo, their own type of sacrifice religion, that they felt that's what would happen, which of course didn't, but that was their beliefs. And so the 2 friends get with some girls they met down there and this cop in order to try to help find Ryder Strachan. So the movie kind of plays off as a combination of Hostel and Turistas, if people remember that movie. And it goes a bit of that torture type of picture. And I guess it depends how you feel about those torture movies. They're not really my favorite genre. It has a lot less humor compared to Hostel. Like Hostel, when I say humor, like the stuff with the kids throwing rocks or wanting candy, and the more outlandish, crazy gore, like at the finale, the woman that gets her face screwed up and the eyeballs hanging out. There is some gore, but it's more gritty. The cinematography is pretty decent. The acting's not too bad. It is trying to be a serious horror film with very little comedy. Like, you have these 2 cops in Mexico. They get caught. One gets hurt, but we're going to leave you alive as a warning. And then the other cop gets his eyeballs taken out, his hand cut off. And these drug lords, these guys don't mess around. And they love their machetes. And like I said, the cinematography is decent, it's gritty. The acting I have no issues with. Writers, you get a little bit of their basic characteristics. I already mentioned it. Your lead guy, he's more of the smarter guy. Like I said, you have the one guy who's more of a hothead. Ryder Strachan, he's nice. Like, there's a part where they get a hooker for him, and he doesn't have sex. Instead, she has a baby, and he's being nice to the baby. It's like, okay, this is a decent guy. And it's one of those things where It does feel at times a bit reminiscent of Hostel. That was also about three guys that go to another country to get laid, and the nice guy gets taken, and there's a search for him, which ends up not going the best. Sean Astin is in this, which was an interesting role. He is working with the drug guys, and he is a gringo with this cult. He's got a backward cap, he's got facial hair, and very interesting to see Sean Astin play against type. Because you think of Sean Astin, you think of the Goonies, even Toy Soldiers, Lord of the Rings. Most people think of the Goonies or Lord of the Rings. It's not very often that he plays a villain, but this is one of them, and he's not the main villain, he just works with them. This green girl that somehow... I'm not sure they really told the story. They might have about how he got involved with this cult, these drug guys, but either got brainwashed or whatever the hell. Saying lines like, "You know what I mean, Jelly Bean?" It's a different role for Sean Astin. And part of me wished the movie was this mind game between Ryder Strong and Sean Astin. Because they have one or two scenes together. I'm like, man, this could really work well. Boy Meets World versus a Goonie. I think that'd be... I wish the movie was more in that direction. And Ryder Strong has to use his wits and has to use his brain to play these mind games with Sean Astin and get himself out of this situation. And I don't mind Ryder Strong as an actor. I didn't mind him in Cabin Fever, the original Cabin Fever. I didn't mind him in that. But no, that's not where it goes, sadly. I wish it did. I think it'd be more interesting. Instead, he tries to escape, they catch him, someone gets on a horse, lassos him back. And pretty much he's there to get either beaten up a bit or prepared for this ritual. While his two buddies go to the cops do nothing. The one cop for the beginning of the film, he wants revenge and he helps find info. Hey, I think I know where your friend's at. You also have some little bit where the smart guy met, I don't know if she was like a waitress. She worked in Mexico and they form a little love story between the two. At least the acting is capable. At least the acting is not bad, it's not poor. And that helps move the movie along. And you do get some grisly moments. Like one body is found on a bed and the head's been taken off and replaced with the head of a goat. One person gets an arm cut off and just completely messed up beyond belief with machetes. And there's a little bit of action in the finale. There's a little bit of gunplay, gunfire, little bit of shotgun play. Although it does go that tendency, which I hated. They did a lot, and thankfully they lessened that a bit. But back then, it was a lot of scenes like this, where the camera cannot hold still. Even if someone's there, the camera would be like this. I guess directors felt that if you did it this way, it would cause the audience some kind of tension, or to be on their toes, or that you were there with them. Like, no, I would be standing still. I'd be standing still like this. But I hated that tendency. There are films I can watch that detail that. I can deal with it in instances, but it doesn't mean it's my preferred way of watching a movie where I feel like I'm in the damn ocean and the currents are trying to take me away. I'm like, no, I know I'm standing still. I know I'm sitting still. Stop moving. How do I move on? I mean, the Mexico, For people who live in Mexico, no disrespect, I would never want to go there. I would never want to go there. You hear all sorts of stories, all sorts of vile stuff, all sorts of terrible stuff about what happens in there, and people disappearing, and people, drug lords not giving a flying hell about your livelihood, and people getting held up. And if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to look up the true story this is based on. I saw what it was at first. Adolfo de Jesús Constanzo. Let me see if I can look up the real story. I mean, the film itself is pretty straightforward. Like I said, if you're into films like Turistas and Hostel, and like if Hostel, if you were annoyed, I would say the characters are a bit more likable, and the fact of most of them are not as douchey. Also, although I did end up liking the lead guy because of his actions in the third act. And that's the thing, like Hostel, I liked the third act of Hostel. I thought the third act of Hostel saved the movie, because it became a bit of an action movie, and I would say, I hate to say it, I'd probably say I'd put Hostel above this because of that. Although this is much better than Hostel 2 and Hostel 3. Again, the first Hostel, I liked the revenge going in and the atmosphere of this vile place and shooting the guy in the head, and there's no shaky cam like in this one. God, let me find the... Yeah. A drug lord and leader of a religious cult that practiced human sacrifice. Passed away in 1989. Cuban-American serial killer, drug dealer. Matamoros, Tamaulipas, Mexico. The Narco-satanists. By the media. Cult members nicknamed him the Godfather. Led the cult with Sarah Aldrete, whom followers nicknamed the Godmother. Multiple ritualistic killings, including the murder of Mark Kilroy, an American student abducted, tortured, and killed in the area in 1989. As an adult, he moved to Mexico City, met the men who were to become his followers. They began to run a profitable business, casting spells to bring good luck, which involved expensive ritual sacrifices of chickens, ghosts, snakes, zebras, and even lion cubs. Jesus. Many of his clients were rich drug dealers and hitmen who enjoyed the violence of Costanzo's magical displays. He also attracted other rich members of the Mexican society, including several high-ranking corrupt policemen who introduced him to the city's powerful drug cartels. His cult was said to be associated with the notable Gulf cartel. Costanzo started to raid graveyards for human bones to put in his cauldron. Before long, his cult decided that the spirits of the dead that resided in the cauldron would be stronger with live human sacrifices instead of old bones. The resulting killing soon totaled more than 20 victims, whose mutilated bodies were found in and around Mexico City. The process escalated until Costanzo eventually decided that the day needed the power of a brain from an American student, culminating with the 1989 murder of Mark Kilroy. He began to believe that his magic, many of which he took from Palomayombe, were responsible for the success of the cartels, and demanded to become full business partner with one of the most powerful families he knew, the Calzadas. His demand was rejected. 7 family members disappeared. The bodies turned up later with fingers, toes, ears, brains, and even, in one case, the spine missing. Costanzo soon made friends with a new cartel, the Hernandez brothers. He also took it with a young woman named Sarah Aldrete, who became the high priestess of the cult. Costanzo made Aldrete second command of his cult and directed her to supervise his followers while he was shipping marijuana over the border into the U.S. In 1988, Costanzo moved to Rancho Santa Elena, a house in the desert. It's there where he carried out more sadistic ritual murders, sometimes of strangers and other times of rival drug cartels and dealers. He also used the rights to store huge shipments of cocaine and marijuana. In 1989, Costanzo's henchmen abducted a pre-med student, Mark Kilroy, from outside a Mexican bar and took him back to the ranch. Kilroy was a U.S. citizen who had been in Mexico on spring break. When Kilroy was brought to the ranch, Costanzo murdered him. Under pressure from Texan politicians, Mexican police initially picked up 4 of Costanzo's followers, including 2 of the Hernandez brothers. Police quickly discovered the cult and that Costanzo had been responsible for Kilroy's death. He sought a good, superior brain for one of his ritual spells. Officers raided his ranch and discovered Costanzo's cauldron, which contained various items such as a dead black cat and a human brain. 15 mutilated corpses were dug up at the ranch, one of them Kilroy's. Officials said Kilroy was killed by Costanzo with a machete chopped to the back of the neck when Kilroy tried to escape, but about 12 hours after being taken to the ranch. Costanzo fled to Mexico with 4 of his followers. They were only discovered when police were called to the apartment because of an unrelated dispute taking place there. As the officers approached, Costanzo mistakenly believed they had located him, opened fire with a machine gun. This brought in police reinforcements. Determined not to go to prison, he handed the gun to follower Alvaro de Leon and ordered him to open fire on him and Martin Quintana. By the time the police reached the apartment, both Costanzo and Quintana were dead. So he told his follower to kill him. Chicken shit. Fucking coward. Chicken shit. Pussy! De Leon and Sarah Aldrato was immediately arrested. Total 14 cult members were charged with a range of crimes from murder and drug running to obstructing the course of justice. Oh, obstructing justice, sure. 3 of them were convicted of multiple murders and were ordered to serve prison sentences of over 60 years each. De Leon was given a 30-year term. If co-leader Aldrato is ever released from prison, American authorities plan to prosecute her for the murder of Mark Kilroy. The Discovery Channel series Most Evil profiled Costanzo in the 10th episode, Cult Leaders. Costanzo was also profiled in the documentary Instinto Asesino, which aired on Discovery in Espanol in 2010. On July 13, 2013, Investigation Discovery Channel profiled his crime in Poison Passion series, titled Sacrificial Evil. The ID Channel series Pandora's Box Unleashing Evil portrayed the crimes in an episode entitled The Devil's Ranch. And of course, this film is very, very loosely based on that. Because it does not quite follow that story at all. So it's very, very loosely based. But I just wanted to mention that because, truth is stranger and scarier than fiction. As for the film itself, it depends how you feel about the torture stuff, how you feel about the plot, the synopsis. It does feel a bit too similar to Hostel at times. Sean Astin, it was interesting to see him have a different type of role. The acting is pretty decent. Cinematography, not a bad looking movie. Too much shaky cam, because I'm just not a fan of shaky cam. Spoilers for the finale. Spoilers. The hothead of the group gets killed by machetes. The smart guy, the girl he fell in love with, and this cop from the beginning, they go to where this stuff's going on. It's too late. Ryder Strachan has been killed. Which I thought that was kind of shitty, to put it bluntly. You get a gunfire finale. The cop and the drug guy shoot each other. The cop dies of his wounds. The smart guy and the lady run away. Sean Astin and some group follow them into this house. There's a bit of shotgun play. One person gets shot in the neck. Or shot in the chest, stomach. Smart guy fucks up Sean Astin with a machete. One guy tries to run away, and this guy ain't having it anymore, and the smart guy goes up and just chops the shit out of him. You don't see the gore, but you see that he does it. And then this, one thing I didn't like is the abrupt, text at the end. The way it ends, there's, just 5 series of texts on the screen about cocaine was found. One cult member was caught driving through, thinking he was invisible. And then text stuff, oh yeah, these two went across the border, they were caught by U.S. authorities, they were questioned, and then not all the cult members were found, but they found some place where they found all these body parts. I don't know, just the fact there was like 4 or 5 blots of text, like, something about that rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, shit, we ran out of time, we ran out of money. Just text it in, literally text it in. But, I don't know, yeah. Like I said, it was a time waster. It's a film I'll never watch again. I know a lot of reviewers found it very intense and scary. To me, the real life story is more intense and scary than that. But, if you're in the mood for those kind of movies, it's not a bad watch. It doesn't have a stupid ending where everyone dies or out of the blue. Although, sadly, I probably would rather watch Hostel than this. Because, again, Hostel has issues, but I do like that third act. But for the 8 Films to Die For, I thought it was better than the one with the killer rat people zombies. Mulberry Street. But I definitely put Deaths of Ian Stone above this. I would definitely put Butterfly Effect 3 above this. But, not bad. Not bad at all. I'd probably put Teresa's above this as well. Because I remember Teresa's not being that bad. And I didn't mind, was it Josh Duhamel as the lead? So yeah, I would probably... It's been a while. It's been a while! To hear this song. It's been a while! I'll probably... I think there are people that would say Borderland is better. But I would rather watch Teresa's and Hostel above this. But it's there. It's better than Hostel 2, Hostel 3, like I said, and other stuff. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.